Good morning and welcome to part 4 of our wiring harness install on the CJ5. Got my bracket from Send Cut Send. Already fit it. When the bracket comes, it's in bare steel, so I fit it to the fender. Made sure everything lined up. Drilled my holes. Had to adjust one of the feet so that it fit the contour of the fender, and then was able to go ahead and put some paint on it. All I got to do now is install some nut certs into the hole, and then I'll be able to fasten the bracket. And then the bus bar will mount right to the top of it, like so. And then I'll be able to go ahead and finish up the wiring. It goes ahead, it gives me a nice, safe, secure, stable position to mount that bus bar. And then I'll be able to organize the rest of these wires. So we're going to go ahead, get these nut certs installed. I already drilled the holes, put some paint on them. Let that dry, let the paint on this dry. And then we'll get those nut certs installed and get this bracket mounted. Okay, nut certs are in. Got all 5 of them in. Gonna go ahead and get this bracket mounted and installed. And like that, that bracket is now installed. Nice and solid. It's not going anywhere. Mounted right through the fender with nut certs. You can see them all down there from other items as well. So when I end up taking the fender off, that'll all get painted. All right, now we can actually start. I'm going to make this side my positive side, this one my negative. I think that'll line up well. So we're going to go ahead and start putting wires on there. Okay, I got a little rough idea of how everything's going to go here. We have our power wire going to our solenoid. This is going to be our main power from our battery. These two are going to go right on the same terminal. Oh, and then we've got fan power. This is our EFI, one of the main power leads for that. Another main power lead for EFI. This is a main power lead for our wiring harness. So these will be, some of these are going to end up shortening and putting some new terminals on so that they're a little tighter in there. There's less slack. Over here on the ground side, I'm going to shorten this main ground cable. This ground cable is grounding the ground side to the fender, which is actually also where there is a main cable grounding right to the battery. And then we've got our grounds for our harness, for our fan relays, for our EFI. We'll be bringing those up and attaching those there. So I got some terminals I got to do. I have some lugs I got to put on these heavier wires. This one's going to get cut, and then I solder the lugs on, and we'll strip this, solder this in, and then heat shrink it. Put some heat shrink tape on it, and we'll go ahead and start getting these cut and trimmed and permanently installed. And then I like how it's going so far. I think it's going to clean this corner up significantly once they're all in. And everything should look good. And then the battery won't be all cluttered. In hindsight, I might have gotten a different battery where I had the side lugs on the sides where I could have done some attachments there. But even that wouldn't have been enough for everything I had here without having some sort of aftermarket piece that would have bolted in and had all the wires attaching to it. Okay, I think we are moving along. All right, I'm going to start terminating some of these and getting them hooked up, put some ends on them, and I'll come in and show you as I progress through that. All right, have my positive lead soldered and new terminal end put on it. I have to put that back in place. Have the negative lead, the ground lead over here. So this is how I do it. I'll put this in the vise. I'll heat this up real quick with a torch. Just get it hot. While I'm heating it up, I'll be filling it. Literally, this will be melting. I'll be filling the inside of here with solder. Keep it warm, and then literally just stuff this in here. Let it, when removing the heat, let it cool, and that's it. It ain't ever coming apart. And then I'll wrap it in shrink wrap. Okay, I guess I'm going to show you guys how this works. Just for anybody who hasn't never done this before. Pretty quick. There you go. Soldered on there. It is not coming out. As you can see, a little bit of solder leak through there. I'm going to have to clean that up on the lug. That'll come right off. Okay, just going to put some shrink wrap on it, and then that'll be ready to go on. Okay, so those are on and installed. Now I just got to work on these smaller ones. But as you can see, the nice thing is when you can cut and redo the terminals like that, it gives you the option of basically custom making the cables to the length that you want them. Plus it also gives you the option of you can actually buy heavier cable in bulk, and again, it's a lot cheaper than buying them already assembled, and then you just terminate them and put the lugs on, shrink them out. Okay, gonna get these put in, cut down. We are getting closer to being done. Moving along, got only 2 more to connect. I have to get some 8-gauge connectors for a 3/8 inch terminal. I've got some 8-gauge, but they're for a 1/4 inch terminal. So I need to get 2 of those so I can connect those there, and then we are all done. Everything is secured and in place, and I think as you can see, it definitely cleaned this corner up significantly. And then there are covers that will bolt right in and protect all the tops. And as you can see, where the negative and positive meet, it is solid on both sides, so that there's no chance of any contact there. So that's how it's going to look when it's over. These 2 obviously will be underneath as well, and that actually did a great job cleaning up this corner. Then I'll be able to hook the batteries up, then we'll be able to go through and test everything. I'll have some fluids I got to put into the engine. I got to put some oil and coolant in it. Take the power steering belts off for now, and then there's definitely going to be some pre-starting checks I got to do with the EFI system. I got to start up. There's a startup wizard. There's a little LCD screen. I got to enter in some information. I got to read up on that, and then we will be able to go ahead and crank this motor over. Alright, so now we've got terminals on these last 2 wires, this last positive wire and this last ground wire. These 2 were what power basically power the entire wiring harness and power the fuse box or fuse panel or whatever you want to call it that's behind the dashboard on the firewall inside the passenger compartment. So we are all hooked up. all of our positives, negatives, everything's hooked up. Just got to hook them up to the battery, put the covers on here, and we are all done with wiring as far as getting my harness in and having my engine wired, or the engine harness wired. And with the covers on and bolted into place, that completes this bus bar being installed, and I think that completes our engine wiring, at least for what I have in here right now. I obviously, as I said in the earlier videos, I have some stuff left over yet. This is a horn, washer fluid pump. None of that is going to be used or hooked up. And here's your hood light until I get the Jeep painted. Here we have all of our headlights, turn signals, marker lights for the front, and I still have the rear harness to run. Have not hooked that up, but that really is just running it along the channel, getting it out to the back, and just plugging it in underneath here. Dashboard obviously is going to have to be worked on, but my next thing is really going to be to get this engine started, make sure everything runs correctly, make sure my EFI system and everything is functioning correctly. So this is going to conclude part 4 of the wiring harness install. I'm going to go ahead and stop this video here. The next one will and should likely be setting up my EFI system, and if all goes well, first start on this motor. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've all enjoyed this. I hope this helps some people out there. If you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them below. Please like and subscribe if you like what we're doing here. Thank you very much and have a great day.